wanted to start just by talking about, like, I wasn't brought up into a religious family at all. Mum, when she was raising me, was very much just left it up to me. She didn't push anything on me. Mum's approach to teaching me about religion was very, very open and she left it up to me. But then I think it was like grade 1 or grade 2, I used to RE in school, and in my opinion that was kind of really shit, because to young me it was like everyone got to learn about this person walking on water, and I was like, that's fucking cool. He's like a magician. So I thought I was missing out on learning about the cool magician fella. But as I got older, I started sort of experiencing things that led me into a bit of a more spiritual pathway. I definitely wouldn't call it religion, but it sort of pushed me along the thought process of considering angels and considering that something might be present around me and be watching over me, which I think, as much as, like, I knew a lot of people that have said they believe in outright nothing, but I know so many people that have different assorted, not quite ghost stories, but like stories of feelings, or like your car doors locked mysteriously when someone sped past when you could have been hit. You somehow survived a car accident, and just sort of miraculous stories like that indicate that something might be with us and might be watching over us. But I still had no sort of direct description for these things. I just felt in tune with something. Now, like, I'm a science kid. I've got my psych degree now, but I've always thought quite analytically about things and quite critically about things. So, of course, straight away, my first thought is that I'm schizophrenic. It took a while, and I kept on asking for evidence, because if something is communicating, surely you can just ask it and it'll show you. So consistently throughout my life, I've asked for signs, and I have honestly received them. Being able to tell when something's going to happen before it happens, or like you get that sense for certain things, or knowing that you need to call someone at a certain time and they were having a breakdown, or it feels like you're in touch with something just that little bit higher than yourself. There are a few weird, whacked out stories that you will probably not believe, but I will tell you anyway. I mentioned that I asked for evidence and received it, so I thought I'd touch on the stories, even though I said that I wouldn't, because fuck it. But one of them, I was walking along a main strip in my town that I live in. It was about 10 p.m. at night, and my mates had all left, and I was meeting them in a pub. And I was walking along with music, listening to my headphones, and this was well before I started gigs. This was like years and years ago. This was my partner at the time. I was walking to one of his gigs, and I was walking along, and a group of people stopped me, and they were like, "Are you Molly?" And I was like, "That's really fucking weird. Yes, I am." And they were from the local church, and they were all just as wigged out as I was, but they were like, "We've never done this before. God sent us to find you. Can we bless you?" And it was a really interesting, weird experience. And like, this was on like Station Street. Like, it was a really public area, so people were like stopping and taking videos and like ogling these people blessing me, but it just felt like something that I shouldn't say no to. Like, I have severe social anxiety, so a bunch of random people approaching me even to talk to me would usually send me crazy, let alone coming up. And like, they had hands on me to physically bless me, but I didn't feel anxious. I felt quite comfortable with it, and they knew me by name. And I was like, what does this mean? And then one of them started talking about music and academia, which, fast forward to now, like back then I was like, no, I'm way too scared to play a gig, that'll never happen. Fast forward to now, I got over that fear. I finished my psychology degree, and my number one like goal for my life is to try to combine the two and have like a music-y psychology thing. But we're not talking about feelings, we're talking about religion. Yes, so that was story 1. Story 2, we were sitting around at a campsite, and a guy came into our campsite, and at this time I had been doing the oracle cards and stuff very regularly, and I believed I was talking to someone. I put the name Michael on it, which at the time I didn't realise that's also an angel in the Bible, so that was very interesting. This guy came in and he was really skeptical and noticed what I was doing, and he just sort of like mocked me and told me to prove it. And of course, I am a very doubtful person, so if someone implies that I'm crazy, especially with the schizophrenic brother and my knowledge of psychology and mental health and my own personal history, my brain straight away goes to, shit, I'm schizophrenic. Like, that's it. I've just lost it. I predicted that his phone was going to buzz just before it did, which was a pretty small thing, but then I predicted a dragonfly driving in. I predicted a dragonfly flying in, and I can't remember what else happened, but something, and it was enough to make this dude, like, get up and run away. And I was like, whoa, man, that's fucking weird. But still, I did not believe it, and I was still like, no, probably not. I'm probably schizophrenic. And this is all the while, like, going to psychiatrists and being like, yo, is everything alright up here? Because I think I'm talking to some sort of higher power. Another tale. Tale as old as time. Oh, I have to get it from over there. Okay, so this this necklace arrived in the mail and I hadn't ordered it, and on the back it says Michael, but I have to go get it because my partner Harry decided to make a Pick of Destiny necklace for a Tenacious D costume. I let him use that necklace, so I will be back with that. Okay, so this is the necklace. This is his Tenacious D drawing. If I take his blue tack off, luckily for him and for me, it actually says Michael on the back. I don't know how to make it focus. I'll just put a photo somewhere here. Yeah, that necklace showed up just after I'd been questioning to this Michael character that I'd now been apparently talking to for a while, and that showed up in the mail. But still, was not convinced. Still am not convinced, to be perfectly honest with you. Little bits of me want to believe one thing and little parts of me want to believe another. Which is the main reason why I'm making this video, because I'm sure I'm not alone in being, just in general, confused about the world. Uh-oh, my dog's up to trouble. I mean, studies of history and studies of how bad humans can go when we're stuck in small in-groups. Like, because a lot of our issues just comes from separation of groups. If we had massive groups that constantly moved all the time, so we'd have to elaborate on stuff and get other opinions and other point of views and everything like that, and it was a constant rotation with, like, a fairly big group involved, the chances of everyone turning into evil supervillains and a lot less minimal, less likely. Fun fact, it was also a song that I wrote called Michael that I wrote to this omnipresent Michael character, and I played it at my first ever open mic when I thought, like, I would throw up instead of words coming out when I try to sing in front of people. Like, it'd be like, it was just not okay. I was shaking so hard that my knees had full bruises on them. But I did it, and now I play gigs for a living, and ta-da! And I'm sitting here with, looking like this, talking to you about religion. I wouldn't dare dream posting anything like this or discussing anything like this out of sheer fear that people will comment being like, you're an idiot. Even if you think I'm an idiot, that's chill. I've grown as a person. I don't care about that anymore. Careful, if you mean comments, I'll probably still cry. I'll learn from it and I'll grow and I'll just be stronger than I was before. Everyone everywhere seems to have some sort of system like that, whether or not it's defined as religion or spirituality, or whether they just wake up sometimes and they're like, nah, I think, bloody oath, I think today's going to be a good day. And the more I learn about other people's beliefs and their life stories, really, the more you see it's more just what you're exposed to or what makes most sense for you personally. You latch onto it, which is just stupidly ironic given that religion starts most of our world wars and has killed countless people, is part of the reason that we don't want to accept homosexuality. There's still people getting stoned to death, and just it's weird that something that really from the outside seems like it's built to instill values in people and create a sense of togetherness, and it's done essentially the opposite of that because no one can agree on the specific details of what that togetherness means. It really does seem to me that these are all just elaborate stories to instill values in us. Through my entire psychology degree, all I learnt is about how flawed the human race is, and I continue to just learn how flawed we are, which is obviously problematic given that we are generally in charge, and through being in charge are destroying the planet. But aside from destroying the planet and killing everything on it, humans are pretty smart. Like eyewitness testimony and in forensics, they're like, no, like the second you get to a crime scene, one of the first things you should do, obviously unless you're chasing a perpetrator or there's someone injured, treat them first. No, I doubt any forensics students are watching this for study, but if you are, treat the person and then chase the perp if the perp's there. And then you want to separate your witnesses, because if they chat, they can distort their memories. Anyway, I don't know, I got a bit sidetracked there. But I feel like in the same way, our stories of Jesus and religion and God and what we know God as, and people's spiritual stories and the way they get told down and the way we act upon these values or these rules or these commandments or like whatever we want to call them, just seems to change slightly given each different group of people's interpretation of it. Anyway, that was a random ranty bit. I get pretty severe anxiety sometimes. I talk it out to myself, but sometimes I feel like I'm having a conversation with some sort of higher power, God, or I don't know what to call that necessarily. It's definitely like, it feels like it's probably a similar thing to prayer. Like it just seems very similar, though I wouldn't call it prayer. So I just wonder, is it a universal thing that we all are speaking to some sort of higher something, even if it's like loved ones that we might have lost or whatever? Is it possible that we're all on the same wavelength, we're just reading it different? Here I am thinking I'm being all like, whoa, philosophical. I've got a bunch of tiny hair ties in my hair and I'm talking absolute nonsense. I guess I just wanted to open up the conversation. If there's anything that we can learn from history, it's that no one really knows much at all. But I'd love to hear your thoughts and your beliefs, and just sort of like, do you talk to a higher system? Do you talk to a God? Do you pray? What is that like for you? And if you are completely atheist, what is that like? Like, how would you describe a gut feeling if not being in tune with some sort of higher frequency? I don't know. Anyway, I think that's my thoughts on spirituality for now. Okay, bye.